Changing the controller on your e-bike might sound intimidating, but trust me, it's a totally doable DIY project. The controller is essentially the brain of your e-bike, managing how energy flows from the battery to the motor. If your e-bike isn't performing as it should, or you're upgrading your system, it's time to roll up your sleeves and tackle this one. First things first, safety is non-negotiable. Make sure your e-bike is turned off. Disconnect the battery completely. This prevents accidental shocks or short circuits, because yes, we're dealing with electricity, folks. No one wants to fry themselves or their shiny new controller. Before you start, take a few photos of the existing controller setup. Wiring connections, placements, all of it. Trust me, this will save your sanity later. Wiring can sometimes look like a bowl of spaghetti. A quick picture now can be your GPS for rewiring later. Locate the controller on your e-bike. It's usually in a boxy casing, hidden under the main frame or near the rear wheel. Use a screwdriver or Allen key, depending on your bike's build, to unscrew the casing. If it's zip-tied, carefully snip the ties with a pair of scissors. Start by disconnecting one cable at a time from the old controller. Label each wire with masking tape or sticky notes as you go. This step is tedious, but you will thank you for it when you're reconnecting them to the new controller. Now comes the fun part, installing your new controller. Before plugging in any wires, double-check the manual it came with. E-bike controllers are not universal, and your new one might have a few unexpected quirks. Match up the labeled wires, power, motor, throttle, sensors. Don't wing this part. Pro tip: most e-bike controllers are color-coded. Reds connect with reds, blacks with black, and so on. But just because the colors match doesn't mean it'll work perfectly right out of the gate. Verify connections against the manual to avoid a misfire. Once all your wires are connected, secure the new controller in place. Reuse screws or zip ties, whichever the original setup had. Make sure the wiring is tidy and tucked away. Loose wires near moving parts, recipe for disaster. Neatness equals longevity. Reconnect the battery, but don't close up the casing just yet. Power up the system and test everything. Throttle response, pedal assist mode, brakes, the works. If something doesn't function correctly, revisit those wiring photos and labels you oh so wisely created earlier. Assuming all tests run smoothly, close up the casing and take your e-bike for a quick spin. Pay close attention to how the motor behaves. Is it smoother? More responsive? If yes, pat yourself on the back because you've officially leveled up your mechanic skills. One common hiccup is error codes on your display. Most manuals include error code explanations, so don't panic if you see one. It's probably something simple like a loose Hall sensor wire or a throttle not fully compatible with the new controller. A new controller can improve acceleration, increase your e-bike's speed, or even extend battery life if it's more efficient. You'll notice the benefits immediately, especially if your old controller was lagging or worn out. Who doesn't love getting more out of their ride?